She probably just logged out and okay, recording started. Okay.
Hello, out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, whatever land you are watching. And welcome to another episode of Live with Ms. Kier, MZ capital K, capital I, capital R, which stands for Keeping It Real, the poetic lyricist, also known to many as Topra.
Topra in the house.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You might want to get your tea and sip your hats to the side, okay? Because we're going to be breezy on this freezing cold
Yes.
Friday night. And I want to thank,
Ooh.
yeah, brr. I want to thank everyone who took their time out of their evening, because you could be doing anything else. But I want to thank you for tuning in to Live with Mz.KIR. Okay, so one of our guests, Karina, the visual artist slash illustrator, will not be on tonight. She's not feeling well, so we'll have
Oh.
to reschedule her. Shout out also to Orlando Chandler, who was supposed to be co-hosting tonight, but he is tending to his sick wife, Roberta. So get well, Roberta, and shout
Hey,
out to Orlando.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody get well.
Yes. And we have stepping in for Orlando, North Philly's finest. So show your love.
Oh.
My other co-host, Antoinette, will be back on shortly. And drum roll for our guest tonight. We have singer Luvine Hamilton.
In the
So show your
house.
love. Show your love to Luvine
Oh,
Hamilton.
she's back. Okay, let me see you.
Our other co-host is
Oh, she just popped
back.
right in.
Hey!
Okay,
Okay.
I messed up my camera.
Welcome
that's right.
everybody to the party. Welcome everybody to the party. Shout out to Teresa Hazel Eyes in the comments. She is a weekly faithful watcher. So shout out to her. Show your love for Teresa. And shout out to Genevieve Powell, who is watching as well. Hey,
Hey,
Genevieve. Hey, girl.
hey.
Yay!
Genevieve will be
Yay.
co-hosting February 21st and February 28th. So show
Okay.
your love for
Huh?
Genevieve.
Okay,
Okay.
Genevieve. Double
Go
time.
Genevieve. Go Genevieve. Hey.
Oh,
And shout
oh,
out to
oh,
little
oh.
JT, son of Genevieve. And Poessence, if she's coming on, shout outs to her. Hey,
Obey your thirst,
Poessence.
poessence. Obey your thirst. First
Yes,
come
obey your
first.
thirst.
Inside joke. Sorry.
Yeah. So now that everybody is on, okay. Antoinette, introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be back. I am a artist, poet, mom, wife. Me and Miss Kears go back like Cadillac seats.
Right. Chilling with the
Right,
gangsters.
Okay.
So she has known me, a good chunk of my life. Good
Right
chunk of my
on.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm privileged to be here with you guys, and I can't wait for the invigorating conversation. I can't wait.
That's
You know, I
right.
like
Yeah.
That's right.
can't wait.
Yeah. North Philly. I mean, we all know who you are, but for those who are new, for those who are new, tell
I
them who
go
you are.
I go by main names like ODB. You can call me the Black Ed McMahon. You can call me Eddie Kane Jr., but just don't call me if you got no money.
All right.
Because I ain't got no money to give. I'm broke.
You're not broke. It's just currently not with you. Currency. It's
Oh,
just currently
yeah.
not with
I'm,
you.
a, I'm,
Right,
I'm,
right.
I'm divulged of currency. I'm sorry.
And drum roll again for our guest, Luvine Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Levine.
Hey,
I've been
Lorraine.
knowing Tanisha for a lot of years myself. I am a writer, singer, activists,
Okay.
you name it. I'll step up to the plate when it's
Multi-layered.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Beautiful.
I'm still growing.
Oh my God, that is absolutely
I'm
stupendous.
still learning.
That's right.
And this is a season that I believe it's very unique for all individuals that have a connection.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Words of wisdom already.
I'm
Right,
telling you,
right.
overflowing.
Words of wisdom already. Mm-hmm.
So shout out to everybody who's watching. And this is brought to you by the Small Business Network, episode 353, 354. I don't know, slash episode 21 live with Mz.KIR. Okay. Shout out to Commissioner Dr. James McConnell, Sean A. White, Indigo Divine
All right.
Brown, Roosevelt Russell, Cassandra Pickett, Gladys Bryce, Latanya, and Little Trinity Davis Floyd, and all the members of the SBN. Shout out to them. And shout out to my mom.
Okay.
Hopefully she'll be
Hey,
coming
All
on.
right, Mom.
yeah, mama's coming. That'll be nice.
And my mom is going to be a guest on March 14th. Show your love for my mom on March
Oh,
14th.
Mom gonna be in the house. Oh.
Show
All
mom.
right.
Show mom.
Mama.
Mom, the
Okay.
queen maker. Yes.
I always love my mama.
Yeah.
She's my favorite girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shout out
Yes.
to not little anymore. Big dude. Shout out to Big Dude K and T
Hey.
Noodle. Shout out to them.
Yes. Poet in her own right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
well, she's retired. She's been retired for some time now.
She's still a poet, man.
Well,
She
All
yeah.
spit
day.
bars
That's
whenever she
right.
feel like it.
Poetry is the life, man.
Mhm.
And she's been retired for a while. So we're gonna get this party started. Y'all be breezy with us on this Friday. Welcome again, everybody,
Yes.
to the party, to the Mz.KIR party. Hey.
Hey.
We in here. We in here.
Yes. Representing. So, Luvine,
Yes.
can you finish telling us more about yourself? Tell us more about who you are and my Mufasa.
Well, let me give you a little bit of background history about myself. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background history. I work a lot in the community, serving my community through um, legal services, Middlesex County Legal Services. That's where I got a lot of my knowledge from. I worked as a legal secretary. I worked in landlord tenant, pro bono, and matrimonial and mental health.
Wow.
I also
Wow.
worked with domestic violence. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm talking about way years back, so I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm very happy of the accomplishments that God has, the opportunity that God allowed me to be able to assist the women of domestic violence who came in there, who had no means of no income. That was one way the spousal abuse was, okay, you have to let me control you through uh, the purse. He had all the money. She didn't have no education, so she was left out on the street. That's I always had a compassion to work for people. When I was 10 years old, I worked taking care of the elderly people.
Okay.
I didn't get paid for it. One time I didn't get paid for it, but I didn't mind. I always worked. That's the only thing I knew was to work. My parents couldn't afford to give me what I want. So I made it accessible for myself to get what I want for myself.
Okay.
That's just the individual that I am. So after I finished, well, they had a layoff, the period with a layoff, I thought I'd be able to go branch out into the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the corporate world. To me, that was just an area of exploiting individuals.
Yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
So I had to figure this all out by myself because there was nobody in my arena or my post to help me figure this out. So I had to figure this all out myself.
Oh
So
wow.
then after that, I said, doggone it, I'm sick of this. I went to college. And my GPA was a 4.0.
Oh man, that's
Nice.
outstanding.
I had
Wow.
no idea. I'm telling you, it was this like dark. What is the ease on down the
The
road.
road.
Road. Don't you
Ease on down
carry
the road.
nothing that
As
won't
you
be
can.
alone.
And
Yeah.
I was just elated, so
Mhm.
elated, so enthused about life. I thought maybe I could go to the White House.
Oh
Nice.
wow. Wow.
I was enthused and naive.
we would call that blissful ignorance.
Yes,
Blissful
Okay.
yes.
ignorance.
I like that. I
So
like.
let me tell you. So I did my internship,
Yeah.
and during my internship, I received a full scholarship for my BA degree.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness, that's outstanding.
I was like, you can't stop me now.
Uh, Ain't no stopping you now. You're on the groove. Do,
I'm
do,
doing.
do.
So I went to my internship.
Hmm.
I worked for another a, a part of legal services.
Mhm.
So they must saw what my highest intentions was.
Ha.
Okay, so I was taught never let anything get your goat if you need them to sign off on your degree.
Uh.
So I go in there being all nice. I want to work in the court. I want to be the landlord tenant secure the court. You know, when you
Mhm.
make the decisions.
Right.
I go in there, I go back to work. And, the attorney said, you think you can be a lawyer, huh? Act like a lawyer.
Ooh.
She said, you ain't good for nothing but making coffee.
Oh
Oh
man,
no.
no, you
That was a
know.
challenge. Tell
Yeah.
me you took that as a challenge. You took that as a challenge.
Okay.
I gotta
Talking
tell
about
you,
we shall
sister,
overcome. Okay. We'll
honey,
see.
sister, that was a bullet to my head.
Oh man.
I ain't gonna tell you, I took the challenge, but that still was a bullet to my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can
Yeah.
these people be so deviant?
Yeah.
I was naive. I didn't know nothing about racism. Nothing.
Really?
Wow.
I grew up, there was no racism. None.
Oh
Talk
wow.
to us about that because I just I had the amazing opportunity on MLK Day to be with my eldest daughter up
Mm-hmm.
at Berry College. Shout out to Berry, Rome, Georgia.
Okay.
And it was their 60th year anniversary of integrating the college. And we had
Hmm.
the beautiful opportunity of listening to Miss Ruby, the Ruby Bridges speak.
Oh
The Ruby
wow.
Oh,
Bridges speak.
nice.
Wow.
I
That's
was so
nice.
humbled.
That's
And
amazing.
she talked about her 6-year-old self not understanding the dynamics and the big deal of going to the school. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like she's
Mhm.
Hmm.
walking into school. There's marshals. The president sends marshals down to walk her into the school, and she sat in that classroom by herself for a year with her teacher, and she just went over how her little 6-year-old brain was just like, I must be really smart, really special. While while all of this, this stuff is going on. It wasn't until later on that she realized the impact that her parents, her mom in particular, in putting her in that school and how instrumental it was for her to integrate that school. You're saying here that you were just blissfully ignorant. You're going into school, your first semester, you're rocking a 4.0. You know you have the chops. You know you have what it takes.
And no
And
doubt.
then someone is telling you that you're only good to make coffee. When did you realize that it was not your intellect that not you not your credentials that was the problem, but it was your skin color? When did that dawn on you? Like, wait a minute, what you mean? I got a
Well,
Oh no.
I know I got
Like
a
what?
full scholarship. What you saying?
Look.
at the particular time, because she had to sign off on my degree, I didn't care what she said.
I got
Okay.
you.
My main objective, we have to use our intelligence. even though we are attacked and crucified, we have still used our intelligence. So my thing was just take it and grin and bear it.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's why we have to do things even today.
Yeah.
I don't care what your circumstances is. When you are in combat, you better use your wisdom.
Oh my goodness! Hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
So basically,
You better go inside and find them ancestors and say, what should I do?
so basically, what you're saying to me is, even though that statement that because she was bold to say that to you, knowing
Yeah.
how you've already operated academically, to say that you're only good from, you knew, you didn't internalize it, is what
No,
you're
I
telling me.
didn't internalize it. I didn't internalize it. I knew that they felt as though I was a threat.
Right.
Y'all hear that? Facebook.
I was a threat.
Yeah. You were a threat to the status quo.
That's right. Because I was going. So anyway, after that, I graduated. I was on my way to where I was going, and my mother broke her neck.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
My mother broke her neck, and my son, they had him locked up in Seattle, Washington, in a hole for 30 days, and he never did anything in his life.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Goodness.
So I couldn't do nothing but call my prayer warrior.
Right.
When I called my prayer warrior, I heard the voice of the Lord told me. The voice of the Lord told me, said, Luvine, if you crumble, there will be no foundation.
Wow.
So I had my friend who was an apostle, and I called her immediately because I was in Seattle, Washington when my mama broke her neck.
Goodness.
Same.
And I was in Seattle, Washington. I didn't know a soul. I didn't have anybody to get me off of the airplane. But God, I like telling my stories because I ain't got no shame in my game.
Oh.
That's right. Let them know,
Yeah.
Luvine.
Let him have it.
Or if I can't write it, let me tell it.
That's
So
right.
I'm there. I didn't have nobody to get me off the plane. I knew my son had an apartment. Him and his girlfriend had broken up, and there was a baby involved. Blah 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 blah. So I went there to rescue my son, but I also used wisdom when I went to go rescue my son because I didn't want to be a dead rebel. Because a mother will pick up a car if her child is up under the car. A mother will find
You know that's right.
Yeah.
I don't play. You don't touch mine. Nothing.
Right.
That's right.
So what happened was I figured it out because I went to a priest who was befriended me. I went to a priest and he told me, he said, Luvine, you're getting ready to do something. But God's going to be with you. I just want you to know that you're only one person. You're only one person. Use wisdom in every transaction that you take. I had also contacted my church. I contacted the NAACP.
Okay.
So the NAACP, when I got there, I had linked up with the NAACP. So they transported me. But the funniest thing about it, when we went to the prison to see my son, they refused to let me see my son. They wouldn't let me in with the NAACP. Why? Because they did something to him.
Okay.
You cannot assume that they go to jail that they don't do nothing because I saw the guard. When I told my son, the Lord told me to tell my son before this ever happened. He said, tell your son it's time to come home. My son was so in love with this girl.
Mm.
And it's okay because that happens, young love.
Yeah.
He said, Mommy, you leave and don't come back.
Mm.
Mm.
So Lord, I talk to my God all the time, just like I'm talking to yours. I said, Lord, what should I do? He said, you warned him. You warned him. So I'm going with him to take care, to process the paperwork and stuff before he got arrested. And I'm walking like 10 feet behind him. And when he went into the court, I saw the security guard say over to another security guard, "Hey, Bill," towards my son.
Mm.
But I knew it was going to be more problems. So
They already had him as a target.
yeah, they point him out right then as a target.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't do nothing because my son didn't want to hear it. So I couldn't say nothing. So let me tell you this. So finally, in order for me, I love telling stories. Wait a minute.
I love them.
In order for me to see my son, when they refused to let me see him, they told me I had to go get a Vancouver, Washington State ID. And
What?
I had no transportation. My driver's license was one day and expired. I was up a creek without a paddle. But you know what? In every situation, God kept telling me to stay calm.
Yeah.
Stay calm. So
Be still and know that I'm God.
Yeah. So when the thing did, let me tell you what I did. I stayed in my son's apartment. I cleaned it up day by day by day by day. And it was like right next to a McDonald's. So McDonald's shined the light in. I didn't have to have no electricity. You know how we do. Come on, y'all.
Where's the golden arches? The golden arches led the way.
We make shit happen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We make stuff happen. We always had to take nothing and make something out of it.
That's right.
Okay? So if we're not living in any different of a time than back then.
That's right.
You're just not conscious of it.
Oh man. Say that again. We just not what?
For the people in the nosebleed section.
Please, can you hear that?
You got to be conscious of your environment, surroundings at all times.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Absolutely.
Wow.
So anyway, to make a long story short, I cleaned up everything. And so he's my son. He had a learning disability, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that the court's going to have mercy on me. Mm-mm. I go before the judge and ask the judge, can she please just release him in my own recognizance? I'll take him and she won't have no more problem with him. Mm-hmm. She told me no.
Wow.
My heart was so crushed. And he never been in trouble. He always tried to make something of himself. And he wasn't a bad. I thought if you get in trouble once, you at least get a get out of jail card.
No.
At least. No.
I see that now. No. They thought I had deep pockets. Okay? Mm-hmm. I was trying to get him out. So I let them go as far as I wanted them to go. Right. I allowed them. I let my deep pockets be as much as I want because I ain't got no money for them. I'm a mother first, and I do the right thing. So anyway, come to find out, I'm going through the system and checking out their laws and seeing how I can navigate his exit out of the jurisdiction. But still again, when I called the prosecutor's office to find out in the beginning what was going on, he gonna tell me, Miss Hamilton, this is a business and you cannot call here so frequently. I said, what? I said, call. You must be a damn phone out anyway. I will be there in 10 minutes. Y'all got my son down there and or wherever it is on what coast, and you gonna tell me I can't call about my son? That's when I knew he was nothing but a number.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. So, that's the kind of war stories that I've dealt with. I don't play. I'm not always 100%, but I ain't no joke either.
I see that.
Okay.
I ain't no joke. And what I don't understand, maybe y'all can help me figure this out.
Okay.
How can you change the Constitution of the United States of America?
Ooh.
Well,
well,
we can start by not codifying stuff when we put stuff on there.
How can you change the Constitution of the United States of America, period? But we won't hop on that right now. I'm going to tell you what my concern is.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is for our grandchildren, our grands and our great-grands.
Wow.
I think, if I may jump in, and Nene and Finest, North Philly's Finest, can add to this. When we were in school, and I don't know about anybody else, but I know that Nene and we were in school. We were radicalized by our music. We were radicalized by art.
Yeah.
We had teachers that even if it was outside the curriculum, you can ask. Like there were certain teachers in our high school, we could just wring them dry.
Yeah.
Dry for knowledge.
Yeah.
We also
VHS in the building.
we also challenged each other as peers.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man.
We challenged each other. I remember when Ross Perot was running for president, and because we were just turning 17 or 18 at that time, Needy. I think we were just
something like that.
on voting age. And we were there debating, and we challenged each other. We challenged each other. We listened to Jesse Jackson like he was, an entertainer. I think that what we did, and not Nene and our kids in particular, maybe not even your children in particular, but what I've noticed is that because we were latchkey kids, right?
Extra program after school, right?
Right. You got your key for your house or your extra program after school. You had to come in, you had chores, you had your stuff put up. And when we had our children, we said, we're not going to do that. We're going to give them everything that we didn't have. We're not going to pass down the knowledge. We're not going to pass down the history. We're not going to pass down the radicalization of and when we say radical, I know it has a negative connotation most often, but
not necessarily.
But you're going to be radicalized by something.
Right.
Okay. Whether it's the truth or whether it's propaganda, something going to get your mind. Right. And so we have to be more conscientious. Like what you said, we have to be conscious, right? Ms. Luvine said, we got to be conscious. And what we did was we gave our children a lot of things. And then the big boom in technology happened. I remember MySpace when that first hit, Facebook when that first hit. We couldn't catch up fast enough. Before we had cell phones that looked like blocks of cheese, and it went to we couldn't. Tell me I'm lying. That thing looked like a block of cheese.
Listen, the very first cell phone, I remember was in Radio Shack. Y'all remember Radio Shack?
Yeah.
Gone are the days of Radio Shack. Don't join was afforded for people who were rich.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
it had a video screen on it. That was the very first cell phone.
And remember the ones that came with the thick battery pack? It looked like you had something like you was walking on the moon. You had this big old thing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember that, Joe.
And then we had the pager. We were from the pager generation.
Sky pager.
And we thought we were
Nextel.
you know,
Two-way pages, all of that.
pages.
Man.
And all of these things happened so quickly, and we just kept saying, we're going to give our kids stuff. We're going to give our kids stuff. We're going to give our kids stuff. Here we are now. And it is outstanding to me, and not in a good way, that when we got up on 2020, if you put all those marches, just take a picture from 2020 and put it in black and white, and put it next to a picture from the 1960s, 1965, 1970s. Put it together, put it next to, and without looking at the fashion, you can't tell what era we're in. That's how bad we've dropped the ball.
It's like the information technology exploded exponentially. And we have ourselves to blame to some degree that our children became lethargic. You know,
Yes.
When I growing up in Philly, I don't know if y'all know anything about Philly back in the day, but Constance Clayton, she was the superintendent of the schools, I think from 1976, I want to say, to I think it was like 1985. But Constance Clayton had an agenda that every school kid will learn and will be educated to the point of where they will be sick. And the teachers that she had at her dispense, they were enigmatic about teaching. They were very motivated about teaching. You know what I'm saying? Like I told Mz.KIR a few times on the show. I mean, I went to school with Michael McCary from Boys to Men. I went to school with Robert Hart, Kevin Hart's brother. You know what I'm saying? I went to school with some notable dudes, and you know what I mean, they grew up to be even more notable people. You feel what I'm saying? Because back in those days, you know what I mean, growing up in North Philadelphia, what we had was we had our friends. We didn't have the violence that we had now. We didn't have the black against black. You know what I mean? We didn't have none of that. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't to a great degree as it is now. And the way that information is brainwashing and downwashing our kids with all this information that they don't even need to look in books anymore. And it's a shame.
The school system.
Yeah.
Within the school system.
Yep.
And
I think though, and this may be an unpopular opinion, I think that there is so much information out there.
Too much.
There's never too much. There's how we filter it. And I think that's where we messed up. These kids have access to manuscripts that we would have to spend hours in the library looking. You remember those essays? You had to spend hours in the library until the catalog. You had to make sure you was time management because the library closed at a certain time.
Yep.
You had to have your quarters ready to print stuff out. But now you have a touch of a button. But I will agree with you on this. We are kind of hands off, right? We give our kids tablets. We give our kids the internet. We give our kids the cell phones too early. The brain's not developed. The brain starts to create all these different pathways.
Yep. That's what I'm saying, too much.
Their attention span is so short because they're going from one thing to another They're always scrolling.
It's overload. It's overload.
Overload.
Yeah, overload.
And they have a sense of comparison, and they have a lack of connection that we didn't have. We had to pull together, right? And do things. And what 2020 taught me, when I look at the young people, is that they got fire in them that has not been cultivated, and it's our fault.
I agree.
It's an unpopular opinion, but they got fire in them that has not been cultivated, and it is our fault. Them kids went out there during a pandemic, and they marched until DEI was put on the books, and they marched. Even up until now with the new movement with Palestine, Congo, and Sudan, these kids have put their college degrees on the line.
Yeah.
They got fire in them,
but
we have not cultivated it. We have spent too much time doing generational wars. Well, y'all ain't worked as hard as I worked, and y'all ain't did as hard as I did. And one thing I love that Miss Luvine said, it hurt me, but I didn't internalize it. She couldn't tell me that I could just make coffee. right? Because you already knew who you were. What have we done to give this generation enough stick-to-itiveness and tenacity for them to know who they are?
Reach one, teach one. You got to reach out and teach one. You just can't say,
Absolutely.
you just can't pass them off and say, oh man, back in my day. Nah, man, you got to take them by the hand. You got to tell them to pull up their pants. You got to tell them to take off that bandana. You got to tell them to stop acting like you a gangster, because there's no
Yes.
there's no such
Yes.
thing as a gangster. A gangster is either dead or in jail.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to take about it. You got, it takes a village to raise a child, as the old adage goes. You know what I'm saying? But if the village is broken, how you going to raise your child?
Yes.
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
When I was going to school, I made sure I was punctual. I was early. I don't sit in the back of the classroom. Okay.
Yeah.
And I went to study hall. But during my study hall, I would see my children, people who look like me, my children, discouraged from getting an education.
Mm.
I didn't know what to do. I couldn't do nothing. It was just my level of consciousness that I see what they would do is they would schedule you in, but then they only take you as far as you know how to go. You still got to be knowledge. You understand? I had to take algebra 3 times, but I didn't mind. 'Cause I know one, one, 2 times, they were going to pass me.
Eventually.
I wasn't going nowhere. I'll be there till Methuselah comes. But that's it. That's the level. And they want you, the kids got to be real meek and humble. They don't tolerate, uh, it's like where I went to school, it's like, they had security guards walking around and then the marshal. But to me, it was better to get an education than to go to the jail college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, and Ms. Kears can talk about this. There were some times that she had to put me in my place in high school.
She did.
She had to put me in my place.
Uh-oh.
She had to put me in my place, and she was like, "Listen, you out here acting crazy. You out here fighting in the hallway over some boy. Come go to class."
Uh-oh. Okay, Miss Kim, we see you.
Salute.
And in
Listen,
this
and what's going to
corner.
be funny? What it's going to be funny is I
That's
married him.
nice.
I married him, but there's one
That's
particular
Will
instance.
you be my friend, Tanisha, and help me beat him off? Get away from me.
There was one particular instance. I was notorious for cutting class. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
I would do my work. I was
Oh man,
notorious.
okay.
Do my
You
work,
did.
drop it off, do my test, I'm out. And
Yeah, that would me
this
be.
particular
That would be me.
day, I was in the back. Again, we had no cell phones. And I just wasn't where I was supposed to be. And she came looking for me. Tell them I'm lying. You know you can't tell them I'm lying. It's the truth. She came looking for me.
That
Went
was
to the
nice.
bathroom door. Bam. She said, "What's the matter?" And I'm in there crying and telling her what's going on. She said, "If you don't get yourself together and get to class."
That's my girl.
We gotta get out of here.
Hey, you.
Get out of here. We have to get out of Plainville High School. Get yourself together and get to class. And you need those type of friends. And let me tell you something. She, as the kids say, she trolled my husband, my now husband. She trolled him for the rest of the year.
Oh, she did.
Yes, she did. She called him GG1 for the rest of the year. He had no idea what it meant. It was an inside joke between she and I. But every time she saw him, she was like, "There go GG1. Go to class, man. Go to class. There go GG1. He ain't doing nothing. Go to class." And it was a thing. It was a thing. She know I ain't lying. And then when she had her first heartbreak, I went over to our house. Now let me tell you something. We both had strict. Mama going come on here. I hope she ain't watching. We both had strict parents.
It's
You know
already
she's gonna
on
be watching
here.
this joint, right? You
Did
know she's gonna be
what?
watching this joint, right? Yeah, I mean,
We had strict parents, and we couldn't just be lounging around each other's house now.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
couldn't be
good.
lounging around nobody's house. But I didn't see her at school, so I said, "We gotta get out of here. What are you doing? Get yourself together." And we were like that all throughout. When we became mothers, we were like that. Let me
okay.
tell you something. She didn't let nothing stop her. She said, "I'm at the library. Where you at? The library with the kids." Then I started telling, because there's a big age gap between my sister, brother, and I. There's a 12-year age gap. So I had my brother and sister. She had, and we was in the library, and we were exposing each other. But I think that in generally speaking, and let me, before people come in the comments, it's not everybody.
It's gonna come.
It's not everybody. But generally speaking, the tenacity that we need for the times that are ahead, we're going to have to pull together as a community. We're going to
Yes.
we're going to have to be like this. We're going to have that person that says, "Get up, keep going. Get your passport, get your credentials, get your stuff together, get your money together. What do you need? Who's a black farmer? Who is this? Who is that? We need to, who got the greens, who got the cow, who got the eggs. We need to have that type of mentality, because in order for our youth to survive what is coming, and for us to survive what is coming, we have to pull from the knowledge that Miss Luvine had. You see, she said she brought the NAACP with her.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We don't have to show up alone. We
Right.
choose to show up alone.
Mhm.
You
And
know what?
I tell my kids all the time, if you don't have friends that is telling you that a C is not good enough, if you don't have friends that is telling you that you're
Yes.
not using your gifting, if you don't have friends that is telling you, listen,
Right.
you look a little crazy going outside, if you don't have friends that is telling you, listen, that guy is not good for you. Now it's up to the person to listen, but you should
Right.
be
Right.
surrounding yourself with
Yep.
people
Mhm.
that want to push you to the next level. And
Like-minded.
sometimes you're going to be in front, and you're the force behind, and other times you'll be in the back and you're pushing somebody else. But your hands shouldn't be not doing anything. You should not
Idle.
be not
Right.
doing anything.
No idle.
You
Yep.
can't be idle.
Hands.
We can't be idle. You
No idle.
understood. I wrote down when you were talking, you had legal services, family, domestic violence, economic abuse. Okay. So we all know that we all have somebody in our life that's in a bad relationship that's being economically abused.
Right.
Mhm.
And the first thing that we say is, that ain't my business.
See,
Mm-hmm.
that's a brush off. It's so easy
Mhm.
for it's so easy for our people. You know what I mean, just it's particularly our people to brush off things nonchalantly and be like, "Oh man, that ain't my problem." You know
I
what I'm
got
saying?
mine. I got mine. So you go get yours.
It's
But now it's
exactly.
our problem. But now it's our problem.
Yeah.
It affects the whole community.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's
It
why.
definitely affects the whole community. That's why I was saying from the very beginning, if the village is broken, how are you going to raise a child? If the example that we let, if some of us who give an example to any of these kids out here, especially these young boys, if an old head is saying like, "Oh man, you know what I mean, go out there and get yours, man," what do you think that young boy is going to do? He's not going to pay any attention to education or anything of academic excellence. He's going to think about making that money as fast as he can.
I,
That's the first
you talking
example.
about grind culture. You
It's
talking about
sent by
grind culture.
example. I mean,
And I think the thing about it is everything has balance. Just like in this, everything has
Mm-hmm.
balance. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying don't get your money. I'll never tell you that, because even the Bible tell you that money answereth all things, right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a capitalistic society. What I am saying though, as you're getting your money, are you speaking? Are you dropping the names of your fellow comrade in rooms that they're not in?
Okay.
Mhm.
I think if we're constantly competing with one another, we can
Hmm.
never uphold one another. So, for example, Nini said, I got an opportunity for you to co host, right? She's dropping my name in rooms that I'm not in.
Right.
right? She said to me, I got a project. I said, no problem. I'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. You
And
feel
she's
what I'm saying?
wonderful.
You,
Okay.
you
Shout
see,
out to you, Antoinette. Okay.
so,
Fire son in my Fredro star voice. Okay.
thank you. And
That's
so,
what friends are for.
but true. But you see what I'm
It's true.
saying? So if I walk in and Miss Luvine says to me, listen, you had mentioned that you live down in Georgia. Do you know anybody? Or what is that area like? Can you send me a list of homes that are, because I have a young woman or I have a family. It should now, I should now have the wherewithal within myself and saying that's for our community, right?
Right. Right.
If you see a need, it can't always be about money. It cannot
Right,
always
Right.
be
right,
about money.
Right.
right.
It can't. It has to be some things we just got to do out of principle.
Yeah. Mm.
Mm.
You feel what I'm saying? Some
Mhm.
things we got to do out of principle. I think that I had an experience a few months back, and I went to the lady's house, right? The young man was helping with something. And I
Hmm.
said to him, young man, be careful with the guitar because guitars are fragile.
Hmm.
And if you break the neck, then, you know,
It's over.
it's over with it.
Right.
I got it. So I said to him, he went up to the lady of the house and said, she fussing at me. And I told her so I got out of the car and I said, ma'am, I wasn't fussing at you. And I said, young man, I'm old enough to be your mom.
Mhm.
But you ain't though.
Mm.
And instead of that woman, instead of that sister, exactly, Mz.KIR, exactly. You see how your face is?
Hmm.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
instead of that sister saying to him, hey, she is old enough to be your mom.
Right.
She came at me and said, well, you just gotta leave. I said,
Wow.
sis, what is the matter? Then her mother came out and tried to threaten me with a shotgun. This down here in the South.
Oh man,
They're
that's
us.
wow.
They
Yeah.
us. And I said to myself, what is really the matter? I got in the
Mm.
car and I told my daughter to stay in the car. I got in the car and I was so grieved, not because of how the interaction, and it got worse, not because of how the interaction went. I had to, and Nene knows that this was nothing but the Holy Spirit because I did not push back. I didn't
Right.
argue back. I didn't throw no punches.
What?
Right. Okay. Okay.
Clutch your pearls, honey.
Okay.
This man,
Wow.
he
Okay.
finally delivered.
There
He
you go.
finally delivered.
Gotta be
I
peaceful.
didn't,
Gotta be peaceful all the
Woo!
time.
but I got back as Miss Levine was talking about strategy, right? Got
Mm.
back into the car and I just started praying. I said, this is why we cannot progress.
Yeah.
Instead of her turning to this young man and saying, first off, she's your elder. Second of
Yes.
all,
Mhm.
she's a woman.
Right.
Thirdly, she's advising you correctly. She turned the anger towards me. Your question
Mm.
is, how can we, how can the village raise a child if the village is broken? We got to look at ourselves. We are
My
the
point.
generation that is now responsible.
My point. My point exactly.
Miss
Like
Yeah.
Levine done did her work. We are the ones.
Mhm.
I ain't finished yet.
And I know you ain't finished. We have to pick up what you're
I
putting
ain't
down.
finished.
We got to pick up what you're putting down.
that's right.
Right.
But this is what I would like to see. I want to ask you, do you think we have any chance of redeveloping the characters from the past, like Mary McLeod Bethune,
Mm.
to build the education, um, something? What can we do collectively? Somebody has to take a stand collectively.
In
Mhm.
Well,
What can we do?
Go ahead, Phil.
oh, I was going to say this. Like in Philly, they just recently implemented a program as a deterrent for kids who are getting into trouble. Instead of just sending them straight to jail, they have created programs for them to, to get involved with to increase their academic standing. I think that was a pretty good move by our mayor.
Mhm.
I think that was a pretty good move by city government. the thing about it is, like in all things, once they're implemented, they go like they have a slow start,
Right.
but it ain't how you start; it's how you finish.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
to see that the city government is moving amongst the grassroots instead of just letting us wither is
Yeah.
a monumental thing. Even though she spelled Eagles wrong, we still love you, Mayor. I just had to throw that in there because it was funny as all day. I know y'all had to see that joint,
I think she
but
spelled it the way she says it.
it was a new species of bird. That's what it was.
Yeah. But I think and this is just me. I have witnessed a lot of moms and a lot of dads show up
Mhm.
in for band kids, show up for the football players, show up for, show up in the schools and things of that nature. I think that most schools across all 50 states are underfunded. I don't care if
Mhm.
you're a rich school
Right.
or not.
Right, right.
They're underfunded in the sense of we do not have mental health professionals available.
No, we don't.
Um,
We don't.
Nurses are overwhelmed if they are there. Um, I feel that it has to even peel back a little bit even more. And here's what I mean. It's not just with us voting at the grassroots. All of that is important. It is imperative, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it has to come back to a time where you know your neighbor's name
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Community. Did
and
you
you
yeah.
notice? Did you notice that they took away the community centers and took the community
mhm,
centers and put it in the church?
mhm.
That
Yeah.
don't make no sense.
And even
The
the
kids
church.
need an outlet. They need to have somewhere to go and play pool and you
Yeah.
know develop themselves. They need an outlet. They don't want to be in church 24/7.
Right.
Nah,
And I think what
I
you're
agree with
saying,
you.
and the term that they're using for that now is third spaces. Um,
Right,
North Philly's Finest brought up a good point. There's not enough interaction. Our children don't know etiquette.
right,
It's not being taught. The trades in school. Everybody not going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So bring
no.
Right.
the trades back in
Right.
school.
Right.
Bring the
I'm
trades back.
I'm a,
Um,
I'm a plumber. I'm a certified plumber. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy to be a plumber.
A
and
I
guess
am.
poetic
what?
plumber.
We need plumbers.
Listen,
What
yeah, we
did
definitely need
Martin
plumbers.
Luther
Listen,
King
now,
say?
if I can
Whatever you,
interject
if
for
you's a garbage man, be a good garbage. You're a street
Be
sweeper, be a good
excellent.
street
listen,
sweeper. That's
listen.
all you want to shine shoes, shine shoes. It don't matter.
My
I
husband
be
is a
so,
truck driver.
look. I
He
tell
makes
young
he
boys
makes
all
the
the
same
time.
amount. Sometimes on certain days, let's be honest. Certain days you make the same amount as a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that. I was
Mm-hmm.
just going to say that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
being in
So
the
so the
trades, you can make the same amount of money if you're an electrician, HVAC technician, plumber. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Carpenter. All of them make good
a
money.
pharmacist makes anywhere from 50 up an hour, right? Depending on where they work, whether they work in a chain, whether they work at a private pharmacy, whether they work in a hospital or VA or whatever,
All
Mm-hmm.
day.
right? So the fact of the matter is you make the same amount as somebody that had to go to medical school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
got
the
medical
point,
bill.
here's the thing, and this is what we did, and I understand why we did it. Me being from Jamaican heritage, it was doctor, lawyer, engineer, own your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Those was your choices, right? And
Okay.
if all else failed, military. But you was gonna make some money. Okay. But here's the problem with that. Not everybody wants to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or own a business.
Right.
And once they took the trades out of the school, right, it put the black community in a bind. Because guess what's happening now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without the things written into law, and we see all of this, and we've seen it surface again. And
Mm-hmm.
getting into the Ivy League schools is a problem. There's discrimination. There's discrimination here. That you may not get enough scholarships. Ms. KIRs can understand. We weren't really HBCUs wasn't bigged up when we was going to school, right? Everything was
Right.
go to Rutgers, go to a state school, try to get into an Ivy League. The HBCUs were completely underfunded, and they
Mm-hmm.
still
Mhm.
are, right? but they pump out some of the best doctors and lawyers in our community. It wasn't until my kids started going to college and I was just like, you know what? Let me take a look at what's really going on. And then I realized the HBCUs have great quality education, right? Trade schools have great quality education. Let's look at the billionaires that are making a lot of money. A lot of them are dropouts.
Right. They have high school education.
High school and some college. But why are they billionaires? Because they're innovative. And what do trade schools teach you? Innovation. I'm not saying I have a degree holder as a kid. She has, you know what I mean? My eldest graduated, she has her degree. So I'm not knocking degree holders. What I'm saying is not everybody is built for that. And when we start to bottleneck all of our energy into one area, we start to lose a population. Right? And what if you look at the 60s? And you look at the 70s and you look at the Black communities, we had a lot more people in trade that were able to buy houses, stimulate the economy because they were in a trade, plumbers, carpenters, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Things of that nature. They were in a trade and they were specialized in that trade and they were able to make money in that trade. And then you had your doctors, lawyer, engineers. I just heard the stats today. Black women are 80%, 80%, the whole country. Degree holders. Black women are some of the smartest people in this country.
Right.
Look what I found.
What's that?
The Constitution. We the people.
Oh,
the United States.
She pulled up the Constitution.
Pulled it out.
We the people of the United
I
States.
need y'all to help me investigate this, okay? Because I'm puzzled. And can I mail this copy to you? Can I scan it and give it to you and we go over it?
We can go over it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
For real.
Precept by precept, okay?
Line by line, precept by precept. Here a little, there a little.
I'm having so much fun now. Oh my God.
Listen, he pulled out the actual documents.
But
I mean, break it down.
Actual document. Go ahead, Luvine.
Go ahead, Miss Luvine.
We gotta dig into this. I'm not playing.
no, but we have to. But the fact of the matter is, we have to understand that our communities can't be lopsided. We cannot just funnel our kids into collegiate institutions without also giving them trade.
Right.
Look at where people are making money, right? Black capitalism is not going to fix the issues in the community.
Right.
It's going to be really healing the community. We have to stop having the diaspora wars.
We need to give back. I feel for me personally, I need to give back to my youth. That's the only way I can continue to pay it forward.
I agree with that. Because
let your money, put your money where your mouth is.
But we got to start on our street.
I didn't see. What you saying?
We have to start on our own street. Know your neighbor. Hey, sis, do you need? Hey, I noticed your son was late going to school. What's going on? Is everything all right? I noticed that. You know what I'm saying? I noticed your daughter coming home at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. What's really good? Y'all good? Y'all all right? And not be offended.
Well, see, Antoinette, the thing of that is, that's a beautiful thing. I pray that it comes into fruition, and it actually can.
It can.
But like I've seen in my neighborhood, it's like everybody's so suspicious of each other. Everybody's so guarded. Everybody's so, oh, he might try to get me, or she might try to get me, or take advantage of me.
Why we like that?
It's you can't even say good morning without somebody questioning, like, how's it good? What are you talking about? Good morning. You know
Nene giving me the eye. Nene giving me the eye. She's like, don't you blow up my podcast.
She said, what?
You know what I'm about to say. You know what I'm about to say. You've been on my Facebook page. She already know where I'm gonna go.
listen, man.
You already know where I'm fixing to go.
Look, the thing is, we can change. We have the power within our communities to change that narrative. You know what I'm saying? if you take the initiative and actually say something. Man, I said something to my neighbor the other day. I said, "Good morning." He looked at me like I said a bad word. And then he paused and looked me up and down. You know what I mean? I think he was sizing me up. I was like, I mean, it's kind of cold out here, right? He's like, yeah. We left it at that. But you gotta take baby steps sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
To
I'm
achieve your
gonna say
goal.
this, and y'all are not gonna like it. Nene, you
Huh?
already know where I'm gonna go. We as a community need to stop being delusional and understand that we also hold up white supremacy with our actions.
Mm-hmm. All day. All day.
Yeah.
We do it with colorism. We
Yeah.
do it with texturism with our hair. We do it with featureism with who looks more European and that person is more beautiful. And we reject people that have broader noses and whatever. We do it with our money. We will rather go, the black dollar is the $1 that circulates less than any other dollar in their community.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
We will go and give our money to a big chain, then go down and give it to someone else that we know in the community.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Now, after a while, we're gonna have to take ownership for our own stuff.
Yeah.
We have so much anti-blackness within ourselves.
Yeah.
Man, it's like you try to support your community. You want to see empowerment within your community, but first to obtain
You talk
empowerment,
white.
we have to
That's what we
Mhm.
say to each other. You speak white. You talk white because I'm speaking proper English. I
What's
ain't
wrong with
lying
If
that?
I'm using
There's
nouns
nothing
and
wrong with colloquial
pronouns
English.
and adjectives.
because I
Similes,
Yeah.
know proper
metaphors,
grammar.
man.
Oh,
Come on
you
now.
eat like a white girl because you understand etiquette.
How is that?
Hmm.
How do I eat like a white person?
We
First of all, I
we
eat.
we are more
I mean,
concerned with the aesthetic of a thing
right,
than the real value of something.
right.
We have to get past the aesthetic of a thing. You understand what I'm saying? We got to
Yeah.
get past. We got to. I don't care if you have a 40-inch bust down weave and lashes and all. I don't care if that's what you like. You
I
like what
hate
you like.
class.
You like what you like. Who
You look like
cares?
you're about to fly
You like
away.
what you like. But do you know
I'm
your
just saying.
history?
Right.
Right.
That's it. That's it. I'm done. I'm done.
Mr.
I'm done. All
You
right.
had a bust
We gotta,
down,
we
but
gotta,
for
hey,
goodness
we gotta
sake,
teach. We gotta
know
have an
your history.
episode of history. We gotta have an episode of Black history. I got the book. You want me to go
Listen,
get it? I
Black
got
History
the.
Month is every day. That's every day.
Every day.
I know. Just like my birthday is every day. I'm old
Every
enough
day.
for my birthday to be every day.
You know what I'm saying? You can have, and let me get to the earthy girlies. You can have your locks. You can have your head wrap on. Do you actually know your history?
My point.
There are so many people that walk around, oh, and then we have the diaspora wars. Oh, you're from Jamaica, or you're from the islands, or you're from Grenada. You don't know what it's like to be black in America. You don't know. Okay, let's just stop for a second. Because if we knew our history, we wouldn't be saying those things. Why?
Right.
Marcus Garvey came up here from Jamaica
I was going to say
and
that.
went to New York, got ships together, and joined the civil rights movement in America so that we can have a return back home. This whole thing with returning to Ghana and getting Ghana citizenship and the year of return, this is not a new idea, y'all.
This has
Right.
been around. Marcus
Malcolm X's
Garvey
mother,
instituted it.
Malcolm X's mother was an islander. She was from
Yep.
island descent. We uphold MLK said he felt most at peace on the island of Jamaica. So when we don't know our history and we don't understand how through time, Haiti, big up Haiti. I hope there's some Haitians in the chat. Big up Haiti.
Where's the Haitians at in the chat?
Big up Haitians.
I know it.
They did a revolution that catapulted everyone
Yeah.
into freedom. But we want to look down on Haitians when we see them. We want to look down on them when we see them. Our anti-blackness is why we're not progressing. Our
Self-hatred.
laziness in not teaching history is why we're not progressing. Us not knowing our neighbor and investing in our neighbor's well-being is why we're not progressing. We can really just understand that in the days to come, if we don't reverse those things,
It's going to
That
get worse.
Constitution that you have, you might as well set fire to it.
I was
Set
going to say,
fire to it.
turn it into a paper airplane and let it fly away, because
Set
that's all it's
fire
worth
to
right
it.
about
It
now.
ain't
You know what I
gonna
mean?
mean nothing.
I know. I know.
I mean,
I
it,
saw
it,
Donald Trump. I saw a truck this week. Matter of fact, yesterday or the day before, riding up Route 27, going headed towards Princeton. It looked like it was like one of them gas carrying trucks with
mm,
green eyes, Donald Trump picture on the side of the windows, the American flag on the back of this gas truck, and the intercom singing, "America is beautiful."
wow.
And that's in Jersey. Imagine what I see down here.
Man,
I can only imagine.
I'm trying to
listen,
say.
we got Trump country. Trump country is up here in Philly. It's in the Northeast. You don't see Trump country down in North Philly, Southwest. You don't see it in the predominantly black areas. You know what I'm saying? But in the
I,
Northeast, you can't even go nowhere without seeing the American flag or Trump. Shoot, you might even see a Confederate flag every now and then. You
I
know
was
what I'm
so
saying?
shocked when the numbers came back, and you the only black man on the chat, so I'm so sorry. Maybe you can explain it to me. I was so shocked when I saw the numbers that what was it, 52% of black men voted for him?
Damn. Mm.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Excuse me. I would say this. I mean, personally, a lot of people have just, given their own synopsis of why this happened.
Mhm.
And, you would say these guys were
Uh
Tom. They were bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok, they
Uh,
landed on Plymouth Rock, they didn't land on us, you know what I'm saying? They did what they felt as though that it was anti-Kamala.
okay.
And
See,
I couldn't understand that for the life of me. Like, man, like, listen, you know what I mean? Like, it's not so much to take the lesser of two evils. It's just that, you gonna pick a dude who adamantly stated many a time in many different forms how much he just tests black people. But
mm-hmm,
yet you're gonna
huh.
support him,
mm-hmm,
endorse him, and say,
mm-hmm.
"Oh man, he makes a lot of sense." Why? Because he talks the language of an idiot. Oh, okay. So you endorse the idiot, so that makes you just a double idiot. How about that?
I think what was interesting about what you said, it was anti Kamala.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Because math is just math. Mz.KIR's no out. That wasn't my strongest subject in school. I had I had Tyshawn tutor me. Listen, math is just math, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can we just agree that a vote for Trump is a vote for Trump, a,
Right,
a vote for the third party is a vote for the third party,
right,
and a vote for Kamala is the vote for Kamala. We can all agree?
all day.
Okay. Because there's this narrative that if you vote for the third party, then you might as well have voted for Trump. You see
Wrong,
that propaganda? Can,
wrong,
can we understand that's
absolutely wrong.
propaganda? Okay, cool. I just want to know that when black men got up that morning
Mm-hmm.
and they would say, I'm going to vote for a 34 count felon convicted.
Mm.
I'm going to vote for a man who has not had a business plan that actually worked
At all.
at all.
Mm.
Not one. I'm going to vote for a man that said that he created sneakers because black people like them. We have been reduced down to we've been reduced down to sneakers. I'm gonna vote for a man that cheated on his SAT. That's if he took it.
He probably paid somebody to do it.
I'm gonna vote for a man
Oh,
that says that he's gonna reduce grocery prices, but left the economy worse than when he
yeah.
got it.
Yep.
He was handed a perfectly functioning economy because I didn't want to vote for Kamala. So now let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
not trolling. Serious question.
Go ahead.
You brought up community
Mm-hmm.
and how we can fix the community.
Mm-hmm.
When are Black men going to stop hating on Black women and not be afraid of Black women to lead? Because I gotta really understand.
Okay.
You have a Black woman that, and please don't try to do the whole, well, she did the crime. I really want to know.
Okay. Being that I'm the only Black man on the
Yes.
panel, only man on the panel, period.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I give all respect to all y'all, especially Mz.KIR, who called me at the last moment, as usual. But anyway, we ain't gonna go into that.
Don't be trying to roll my friend. Don't be trying to roll my friend. Don't do that.
No, I'm just tripping.
We
But
still go back to high school bathrooms. Don't do that.
Look, don't let me do this. Don't
let me do this.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I was doing. But look, I'm gonna get to the subject at hand. So in my opinion of the whole thing, you know, that some Black dudes, and I heard them from first accounts when I was voting, they was like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna vote for her, man. I mean, how is it gonna look like a woman running the country?" And I'm like, I'm looking at this dude like, okay, so you rather have a dude who's a convicted felon, who hates Black people, who's a misogynist, who's an eternal racist, who's a braggart, who's obnoxious, who's toxic, who's corruptive, who's corrosive. You rather have him. And your only argument is that, well, she was a prosecutor and she prosecuted Black dudes. Bruh. And I use the term lightly. Bruh. She prosecuted cats who needed to be prosecuted. So this cat, when the dudes who were blamed for that rape in Central Park,
they exonerated 5.
Yeah, he stated that they should be locked up, throw away the key. And these cats was innocent at the day they was born. So again, my claim is this to these Black dudes who said that, man, is that some of them lack the intellectual capacity to actually understand what they said. They're saying it based upon misogynistic views, of which a lot of Black dudes, a lot of men, period, have against women. And they fear that empowerment because so many women are in a position of power nowadays that it intimidates men to the point where they feel as though that, man, my manhood is at stake. No, your manhood should be well and kept because that woman should accentuate who you are. Just because a Black woman, you know what I mean, is making more than you shouldn't put you in peril. You're still a man at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean you have to override nor have to be a dictator. But a lot of guys grew up with the I don't know, the syndrome that they have to be men at all times and nobody can take that title from them. Man, if you so blind, Stevie Wonder can see what you're doing wrong. You know what I'm saying?
And this is why I say history is important.
Right.
Because if these Black men understood the history of how many matriarchal societies that were functional, powerful in Africa,
yeah,
that is part of our heritage.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All day.
That is part of our heritage.
All day.
We wouldn't behave that way. And I think the thing that really got my goat, Nene's just like, don't do it. I'm gonna do it, Nene.
Okay.
Well, got my goat was the evangelical circuit that was just like, okay, the man is supposed to be the head and the woman, you know, supposed to be submissive, and that's why I'm not voting for her, because we're supposed to have this thing. And I get that. In your house, do what you want to do in your house. But can we just agree that from 12 years old to the age of 30, Jesus submitted to his mother and his parents?
Right.
Because he was a completion of the law, right? Honor thy mother and thy father, right? So
Right.
can we agree that there are certain times where submission is necessary?
I agree.
And even powerful even? Now, am I a big fan of her? No. She had a genocide on her watch and didn't do much about it.
Okay.
She's not my biggest fan. But if we're going to look at qualified and unqualified, come on. Come
Man,
on.
y'all got excuse me.
Don't cut your nose. What my grandmother used to say, don't cut your nose off to spite your face. You feel me?
Right.
You got somebody that's qualified and somebody that's unqualified. And you have allowed your lack of understanding of history. You have allowed your lack of understanding of the Constitution. You have allowed your misinterpretation of the Bible to put you in a place where you have upheld white supremacy. I say it again. You have upheld it because you rather put an unqualified white racist to be the head of you than a qualified Black woman that would understand you.
Right.
Make it make sense.
It's no sense. It's no sense at all to it. It's like I stated. It's like a lot of these guys, and as you just said, a lot of these guys are uneducated. So they just going upon, generational, traditional, manly men who said that at any cost you're supposed to keep your manhood intact, not realizing that there have been dynasties of African kings and queens who ruled together in syncopated harmony, and had very rich, civilizations as a result of their rule. You feel what I'm saying? They don't realize that. All they can see is, oh
Say
man,
it louder, North Philly, for the people in the nosebleed section in the balcony.
That's right.
listen. They don't have the intellectual knowledge because they lack the intellectual capacity to understand the knowledge. You feel what I'm saying? They just want to be men, but they lack the skills to be a man. Being a man means that you don't have to be intimidated or your manhood has to be threatened simply because a woman is doing better or doing something that's more productive than maybe you are. You're still a man at the end of the day, and that's the point they lack.
I wouldn't even say doing better, just doing something different.
That's my point.
If I'm a doctor and you're a plumber, I'm not better than you. I'm just doing something that's different.
Different. Exactly.
Her being qualified, a qualified lawyer that understands the Constitution, does not make her better than you. It means that she's doing something different and she's in the wheelhouse that she has the skills for.
That's right.
It don't make her better.
But some guys look at it like, oh, it's a competition, where it shouldn't be a competition. It should be a coexistence.
And
it should be a mutual coexistence. It's just like the Bible.
Answer to your question: how do we now fix the community if we can't coexist? If we don't learn our history, if we don't have the tenacity, if we choose not to understand, and we don't pass down knowledge.
All right, I'm gonna say this real quick because if y'all lose me, that's because my battery's about to die. So I'm gonna say it as fast as I can. It's like this: to fix the community, we have to realize within ourselves and not be at war within ourselves. If Black lives truly matter, we must enact upon it instead of just using it as a something good to say, something peaceful, something loving to say. We have to actually get into what is troubling us and then seek remedies to eradicate those things. That means that a man shouldn't look at a woman as a superior, but his equal. As even the Bible even said that a woman came from a man's rib. You know what I'm saying? And Adam declared, he said, this is now the flesh of my flesh and bone of my bones. Right. So why are you always at odds with someone who is from you? Again, that woman should accentuate you, complete you.
Oh, you better say it.
You feel what I'm saying? That's what cats missed the point. They're so busy trying to be men and they nothing but boys. I don't see Wan Yang in them. You know what I mean? It's time for the community to grow up. That's the problem. It's time for the community to stop being coddling. It's time for the community to take back what is actually ours. Otherwise, just like you said, you know what I mean? The road that we're heading to is Damascus Road.
Woo! That was like a freestyle poem right there.
Listen, I'm just saying. And
I'm just
listen, yo,
saying.
if I fade to black, it's not going to commercial. It's because my battery's gone. Listen, this is I got too many apps on my phone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that that's where we are. I think that to hear um, Miss Luvine talk about the NAACP
Yeah,
and calling upon them, talking about domestic violence
yeah,
and eradicating that, talking about economic abuse and legal services. And like I said, not everybody's going to be a lawyer. Not everybody got the chops for that.
that's right.
But everybody has a neighbor, and
Mhm.
everybody can start on their own street. You could start with your neighbors.
Right.
Legal service is free to those who qualify.
That's right, Mr. Vaughn. That's right.
And
Free.
I'm glad you said that. With this immigration situation going on now, I would love to hear your thoughts about these ICE raids, as one just happened in Newark, New Jersey yesterday.
Mhm.
Um,
I've seen that.
yeah,
The ice raid.
yeah,
Oh,
we had.
where they're in pushing people, sending people back to their country.
Uh-huh. I would love
Mhm.
for you to discuss, how people could legally protect themselves, or where can we get the resources
Well,
from?
you can get the knowledge from Rutgers Law Library. The
Okay.
regular public library does not have any resources that college would have. So they also have books. You would go to the reference desk and research the laws for yourself. So this way you will learn the ins and outs.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is
Yes,
power.
it
Yep.
is.
But for
Or as
those,
Malcolm once said, education is the passport to our future.
yeah,
Tomorrow belongs to the people who
you
prepare for it today.
gotta have it. Well, I don't want y'all to leave without y'all listening to one song.
Yes. I was about to
Yes.
go to the comments.
Song, okay?
I was about to go to the comments before we get to that, Levine, if I may.
Okay. I'm
Whew.
sorry, kids. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The comment section was blowing up, and I know the people in the comment section is like, okay, we're commenting what's going on.
Oh,
So, Commissioner Dr. James said hello, everyone. If he's still on,
All
he
right.
said hello, powerful people. Wow, what an impact! Great stuff. Sean A. White from the Small Business Network said hello, hello, awesome, powerful. You guys are rocking. He said, tell it. Latanya Davis, also from the Small Business Network, said, good evening, blessings and favor. Eric Williams said, yes, by soul of truth and righteousness, conscious of responsibility and accountability. Shamel Breles, hope I didn't butcher your name, said, we don't make no noise like they used to do back then. Maurice Huff was in the building. Don't know if he still is, but he said, I know I'm late, but what up? Eric Williams says, we have no first, the teaching. And my mom, Barbara Marie, if you're still in the building, Mom, she said hello. She thought
Mhm.
today was Thursday, LOL. Eric Williams said
Nice.
they would not promote, and he also says they pumped him with Ritalin because he was too smart. He also said
Mhm.
we do have psychotherapists, yet they are not up to speed from the House of the Fair Base Initiative. He also said he was raised in flooring. The trade teachers were our dads, our moms were the academics. And he also said it shouldn't start at school, but at the homes. Shamel
Yep.
Broyles said that that's a powerful book. The little book will shut anything down. Eric
Mm.
Williams said, correct. Kanisha Love Taylor is in the building. She said, good evening, everyone. Shamel Brayla said, action, the power of truth, and the value of justice. Teresa Hazelai said, we're living in a world where no one is worried about the next person. People only worry about themselves, and that's a big problem. It certainly is, Teresa. Eric Williams also said, um, this don't get in my business mindset is a part of the problem. He said, never reap the circulation economy. Kanisha said, so true. That's sad. I said the same thing before, and people look at me crazy. Shamil Brayless said, our history was hidden from us and stolen from us. Kanisha said, this is why I love history. And Eric Williams said, it's on fire. Shamel Braylett said, these people were so scared of us because we are the real Jews. Eric Williams said,
Tell it don't start with me, because we can talk about it.
Eric Williams said, that is the agenda of them. I told the church not to vote, yet stand. Teresa Hazelot said, I suck at math as well, LOL. Eric Williams said it was an anti-order. Kamala and Trump are wings of the same bird. Eric Williams said they thought it would bring us vindication as a breath of new chance. And author Debbie D was in the building. She said, bye, see you next week. Let's see. These comments is long and lit. Okay. Eric Williams said that is part no. Shamel Brayless said, kill a line, bring it back to the village. Eric Williams said he honored, yet he knew order. He clearly told his mom, woman, what do I have to do with thee? He told his parents, you know, I am about the business of the Father.
Oh,
And
he's talking about my Jesus comment.
yeah, Shamel Brellis said, imagine all of lives were waiting for a president to make a change when we are the change. Kanisha said, that's right. It's collaboration and coexist. That's how I see it. And okay. Oh, Poessence. Hey, girl, Poessence spoken word. She said, hello, everyone. And my mom, Barbara Marie, said yes. And Poessence said, I agree with you. I thought today was Thursday, too. Poessence is my other co-host from a couple of weeks ago. And she's going to be co-hosting with North Philly's Finest on February 7th. For the Black Ice Extravaganza, yes. That's going to be a moment. Black Ice going to be on live with Mz.KIR. I'm not worthy. February 7th, okay.
5 in the morning.
I got to tune in February 7th. Oh, my goodness, February 7th.
What time we got to tune in?
9:05. 9:05.
Okay. 9:05.
9:05.
She said 5 in the morning. She went, wait a minute.
Oh, no, that's the 9:05 p.m. 9:05 p.m.
Okay.
It's going down. Black Ice. Don't be on Mz.KIR show. Okay, sorry about that, folks.
Somebody's fangirling.
Shoot. We need a song. We need a song.
I first got to say I definitely had a great time. It's more than what I anticipated. Martin Luther King. This week was mostly his celebration. And like I said, I'm about the children. But thinking about back when Martin Luther King was fighting for our civil rights, he would call Mahalia Jackson the times that he was, discouraged or heartbroken, and he would call it and say, Mahalia, I need you to sing a song. So Mahalia would say, Martin, I'll do that for you anytime, Martin. He said, and that just touched my heart. So one of my favorite songs is Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And you can sing it with me. It's just that one little old church.
Oh, no, I'm not a singer.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of it. Just a closer walk with Thee. Grant it, Jesus, if you please. Daily walking close to Thee. Let it be, oh dear Lord, let it be. Thy are weak, but thou strong. Jesus, keep me home. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee. When this feeble life is over, time for me will be no more. I want you to leave me safely over the shore. Let it be, oh dear Lord, let it be. That's it, that's it. That's it. Just remember in this struggle always, we need God.
That's right.
We need God
Mm-hmm.
to carry us through.
Yeah.
And to help us to build up each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, Luvine, who would you like to give a shout out to tonight?
I'd like to give a shout out to Somerset, New Jersey Warriors. Franklin Township Warriors. I'm a warrior woman. And to all my friends, my family, just everyone, we just need more love.
Mm-hmm.
We just need more love. And I thank you for having me on. And I certainly had a good time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had a good time. And I would like to come back again. And Antoinette, you get my phone number too.
Well, thank you.
Maybe we can do a history lesson together.
Okay. I'm I'm game. I'm game for it.
And
Okay.
He's back.
He's back.
My power has been restored.
Yes.
My brother has forgiven me.
all right.
Lucy has forgiven me. He has restored my power.
Yes, thank you.
Antoinette,
Yes,
do you want to
ma'am.
give any shout outs?
Shout out to you. Thank you so much. You've been a gracious host and
Thank you.
let me come out here and do my and talk and not be like, oh my God, here she go.
You know
But
I love you.
I know it's been years, decades. Woo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Miss Luvine and North Philly's finest. I had the most wonderful time having meaningful conversation with you guys. I learned so much. I was reminded of so much. Shout out to Berry College in Rome, Georgia, for hosting Miss The Ruby Bridges on Monday. To my family, who is always a immense support to me. They are always backing me and cheering me on. So can't leave my kids and husband out. And shout out to all the educators. There's some educators that since we've graduated have become teachers from high school and college and so forth. And I just shout out to the educators. This is going to be a time for them. They're taking up a lot of slack in the community, and I just want to acknowledge all the teachers, principals, superintendents that are protecting our kids when we're not there. And I think that should be acknowledged. So that's it.
North Philly, who you want to give a shout out to?
Back in action. Man, shout out to Miss Levine for appearing. I got a lot from you. I felt the
Fire.
the fire. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say, like, I felt the passion from you about about
Oh yeah.
I loved it, and I say peace and blessings to you and yours, and may you continue your fight and never end.
Amen. Amen.
And always be a centerpiece of integrity for those who lack integrity. Shout out to Mz.KIR again, having me in the place to be. You know what I'm saying? With the finest people I ever seen in my life. And I'm expecting her to call me again.
You know I will.
You know what I'm saying? But that's all good. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Antoinette. You are the most dynamic lady. Your husband is a very fortunate man.
Oh, thank you.
Peace
Yeah,
and blessings
Antoinette
to
is
your
awesome
children.
sauce.
Peace and blessings to your household. Peace and
Thank you.
blessings to your
Yes,
community
yes,
and our communities, that we strengthen ourselves and not destroy ourselves.
Amen.
Yes. I
yes.
would like to give a shout out to Luvine. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, you my baby. You my
All
baby girl.
right.
You my baby
I'm
girl. My,
glad you were on.
yes,
You gave a lot of information and insight. I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Shout out to my great, wonderful friend Antoinette. Over 30 years of friendship. I love you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for
Love
co-hosting.
you.
That's what friends are for.
Shout out North Philly, because when I call you at the last minute, like, hey,
I
can you
come through like the woo. I come through like the woo.
um
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
yeah, you come through at the last minute, I'll be like, oh, North Philly, can you fill in? Shout out to Orlando Chandler, who could not be on tonight.
Get
Um,
well.
get
Be well.
better, Roberta, get better. And Orlando, I got you, man. I got you. And shout out to Karina, who couldn't be
Feel
on
better.
tonight.
Hmm.
Karina,
You feel better.
I got you too. No worries. Hakuna Matata. Um, shout out again to Poets and Spoken Word.
First come first, just obey your thirst.
Poetess. Hey. When I asked Poetess, like, can you co-host? She said, yes. Bless you, Poetess. Yes, girl, yes.
That's my girl.
um,
That's my
yes,
man.
shout out also to Genevieve Powell. She's gonna be co-hosting again on February 21st and 28th. And shout out again to my mom.
Okay,
And
mom.
shout out to Kanisha Love Taylor, Shamel Broles. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Shout out to Eric Williams. And whoever else. Oh, author Debbie D.
Yeah.
And Teresa Hazel Eyes. Those are my peeps. Still gonna come up with a name for you, Teresa. I got you, girl.
All right.
And let's see who else. Shout out again to T Noodle, and shout out to Big Dude K, and all my peeps, and Maurice Huff and James Parrish. Hey, buddy, you gotta come back on the show. Um, James
All right.
Parrish.
All right.
And shout out to my past guest, Jonathan Ware, my cousin Scott Jacob. Shout out to you. Cuz I'm trying to get you to co-host. Where you at?
I know.
And shout out to Black Guys who's gonna be on my
Oh! Oh! Yes! I'm
I love
not
to see you
worthy. I'm
fangirl.
not worthy.
show. And shout out to all the other listeners. And thank you so much for being breezy with us on this Friday night. I am Tanisha Jacob, no S at the end. Jacob, the jeweler, not the jeweler, but I dropped poetic gems, not
That's
the
right.
jeweler.
Nice.
And
Right.
remember, edges matter. Not let anybody tell you that edges don't matter, okay? Don't let
Amen.
nobody tell you they matter. This is Tanisha, aka Mz.KIR, capital K, capital I, capital R, also known as Oprah.
Oprah.
Signing on.
Oprah.
Everybody, love, peace, hair grease, edges, and soul. Y'all be breezy. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.